The Maldives
will be underwater.
You showed on.
Well, no, I believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy. But if you see the Google image of the Maldives and how it looks, it's crazy. It's like years away from basically.
Well, they're trying to purchase another set of islands to move the people there.
Yeah.
That's how serious.
What is it? 500,000 people or something like that?
I don't know the population.
Makes me happy that I sold a little parcel I once owned in Turks and Caicos. I know that it's only elevated like at like 50 meters at its highest peak.
The Todd Shapiro Show.
Brad J. Lamb is here, TorontoCondos.com, our expert, our dragon, our famous realtor and developer and mortgager. You do everything. What, you open up a new business today? You open up your hotel yet?
I opened up a porn website today.
You're
That's my new business. It's the best internet business there is.
I love you, man. Because I'm not sure. Did you? No. But
absolutely not. I'm kidding.
That's a business, though, man.
It's a great business.
It's a great business. It's amazing, right? Because you see, every year there'll be like the top 10 hit websites, and they don't include what the porn ones would be there, because there would be 10 more that were more hit that are actually porn
because
sites.
it'd be 5 times more hit than the other ones.
Did we have the conversation about YouTube, how Pornhub's like YouTube now? I forget if I had that with you.
No.
Porn stars now, the way they get paid is like YouTube stars, where they put up their video on purpose and they get paid based on views because of the ads that go in front of those videos now.
Yeah, sure.
So it's like they've just sort of adopted that whole kind of philosophy. Porn stars, right?
Really? Is there such a thing as a porn star?
I think so now.
Really?
They got some clout because of their social media followings, right? So they get a couple of million people following them, and they can work with kind of sort of mainstreamish sponsors. Will sometimes take risks in them and stuff and do some stuff. Would you ever have one represent? No, I don't think so.
No, it's a fine business, but it's not for me.
It's not. It's fair enough. Blue Jays, man. I mean, we were talking about the Blue Jays last week. Super exciting stuff. They play the Indians on Friday night, and what are your thoughts, man? Yeah, you think they'll get to the World Series?
I'm not sure you're allowed to call them the Indians.
I know. Am I not allowed? Because Jerry Howarth isn't. Am I not allowed saying?
He's not allowed to call them.
This is J.J. Lieberman, by the way. Brad J. Lamb co-hosting today.
JJ, how are you?
Yeah, they're. Yeah, I mean, some people are saying that. Do you think that's an offensive term?
Apparently, going to the mound and having a powwow is also offensive, and the tomahawk chop.
Yep, you can't do the
tomahawk chop.
Who's saying you can't? Who's saying you can't say it like in
the world?
The general world, man. It's not because it's disrespectful to Indians.
No, but I'm saying then who's saying like he can't say it on the fan? Or
No. He's just opted to. I think he said 20 years ago or something he boycotted. I think it was with the Atlanta Braves. I think that when the Blue Jays beat the Atlanta Braves in the last World Series they won. He said he stopped doing it because a writer or a fan wrote in. I think a fan wrote in and they were of that heritage, and they said it would be great if people didn't make that reference. So I think he's decided not to. I don't know.
I mean, I guess it's not my place to say, but my wife said something to me yesterday because my wife's like the most innocent person in the world, and she goes, do you find it offensive if someone were to call you like the Jews, you're, and I'm like, no, I don't think that's like a big deal at all. If someone said, look at the Jews, and then I like Googled Jews to see if that was like, now if there were Jewish people who would think that was derogatory, and no, like even because it's Yom Kippur, they're like Jews celebrate Yom Kippur. So I don't know. I guess. What makes me I guess I don't know enough about the heritage and enough about the Native community and stuff, but. When I think of the term, when I personally think of it, I don't think of it as anything rude because I never think of anyone.
I think the word Indian, is I know the word Indian is not acceptable in reference to that ethnicity of people.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not supposed to call them Indians.
Then why don't they just change? Should they just go and change the name of the sports franchise?
Well, I think the Redskins has also been under stress for that, and maybe so. But I think the reason why they don't is because there's this lore of history that then you're gonna antagonize certain fans that say that's bullshit. I don't know. I think it actually is important to if we're doing with every other culture than we should do it with the Indians. Oh, sorry.
No,
The Indians.
but
Sorry.
I know what you mean. You're not.
I don't mean the Indians. I mean the actually native. Yes,
Yes,
native Americans. I guess. Is
yes,
the proper
the
term.
Native American. And I.
Sorry.
No, I don't think.
No, I know that. I just had a brain freeze. I just looked at him and he.
But listen,
doesn't
it's
know
still.
that.
But you see the Indians. I mean, it's at Indians on Twitter. It's one of those very confusing things where there's nothing insulting about it if you don't mean it to be insulting. It's just unfortunate the name.
I think just the word itself is not acceptable anymore. Like so many other things, you can't call people.
Well, did you hear? Here's a good thing that I heard the other day, or just yesterday. So there's all these creepy clowns running around North America.
I heard that, yeah.
So now McDonald's, and I don't know if this is a PR move or not, Brad, but McDonald's said, we're going to hold back on Ronald's appearances because we don't want to condone creepy. So basically they're admitting that he's a fucking creepy clown.
He is a bit creepy. Have you seen the TV show The Following?
No, I've never seen it.
So it's Kevin Bacon's in that, and I forget the English guy that's in. He's like the English guy's like a psychopath, and he incites people to follow him in his murderous sprees. And part of it was getting clowns to stab and murder people in the streets of New York and elsewhere. And someone told me about this, and I haven't seen that much about it. So has anyone been injured?
No one's been injured, and I saw one video where I don't know if it was like a fake one that buddies just wanted to go viral and stuff, but I don't know if you saw the one, Paul or JJ, where a dude's kind of filming. It's actually in Toronto, and a dude's filming a creepy clown, and then he comes in and starts like running at him with a bat, and the guys run away and they get away from him. So it looked like a bit kind of Blair Witch-ish, but I don't know if that's Paul. Yeah, jump in here.
There was also another incident in Toronto where a guy dressed as a creepy clown ran after kids at a school, and there were 7 kids running away from a guy dressed as a clown as well.
So that guy should be punched right in the head and like repeatedly.
I'd love
by their parents.
to see that happen. I would just pound on that guy.
Right. You don't mess with the chill. Well, it'll be interesting what's going on. What will happen around Halloween now?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Weird stuff.
It's weird. Yeah, well, the world's weird. I mean, you have a vision for this world. Where are we going to be in 20 years, Brad? You're the guy that.
Do you want me to tell you?
Yeah, I want to follow.
You don't want to know.
No, I want to. I want to live in your bunker. Is what I wanted, or high up upon one of your bulletproof towers or something.
There's some terrific books you can read about the future.
What's a good example of one?
I knew you were going to ask me that after I said that, and I there's one book. That I often start like 5 or 6 at a time, and next time I'm on the show I'll tell you the name. It's fantastic. It tells you how to survive after an apocalypse.
Wow!
And it tells you all the things like drying meat so that you can eat it, like desiccating meat so it's healthy to eat, curing meat, curing fish, how to make clothing. How to skin a hide. I mean, it's crazy. Everything you need to know to restart civilization. A lot of things we know, so we can start on the back of where we're at today. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen, but we're going in a bad direction. We definitely are going in a bad direction. And one of the biggest problems that I don't think people have any clue about is global warming is real, and it's going to flood the coasts of every country in the world. And we're looking at probably conservatively 200 to 500 million people being seriously affected. I mean, seriously, to possibly that could be the death count, but it's going to be massive. And it's not going to happen slowly. It's going to happen quickly. Do you remember when New York flooded?
Yes. Yep.
Do you remember when Toronto flooded?
Yes.
Okay, so our sewer system is inadequate for the rain we get here. Our sewer system is so inadequate that they're now taxing people like me, developers, for putting in groundwater into the system. Just in the last year and a half, they've created a new program where we get taxed. A condo building gets taxed for every kilogram of water they release into the sewers. Never happened before. Because the sewers are inadequate, we need to rebuild them all. There are still some wooden sewers in Toronto. Jeez. Wooden sewers.
Is that what they're doing on like Richmond Street? You see what on Richmond, there's that. They're digging up something right at Richmond and Queen to Richmond and... have you seen that big construction?
Could be. So we often fund short runs of new sewers and things as a developer, and that could be streetcar too. How deep is the hole?
Well, it's not street because there's no streetcar on Richmond, so it's
true
just.
enough.
But it's not super deep though. So, but yeah,
It could be hydro trunks. It depends on who's doing the work.
That's an interesting question. See, this is stuff I would never, ever think of in my life, and not just New York or Toronto, like urban centers that are really, really growing as well. Like what the infrastructure of how they've been built for over the last couple hundred years, like. There's got to be a complete makeover for a lot of these cities, essentially.
Every city. So there are some cities that are more on top of it. Toronto probably is 30 years behind. We are. So is the problem with when you're not a coastal city, not meaning not a lakefront city, but like an oceanfront city where you're going to really see the oceans rise, and that'll affect the water levels in the cities. But in a city like Toronto, it's rain. Right? It's bad storms. If we get too much rain, a flash flood, the sewers can't take the water and it floods the city. And that's where you get problems. The floods could last for days and days or weeks if it's that bad. Can shut down traffic, can shut down the power, can shut down the supply of fresh water. And then you have problems like cholera and all sorts of terrible things that can happen. And now this has never happened in Toronto, but I'll tell you, in New York City, there was a long period of time, I forget exactly how many weeks, but it was weeks, where parts of New York City were underwater. And this was like 5 years ago.
Lower East Side, right? Yeah.
Well, and then Jersey was affected just a couple of years ago, right? Because everyone.
Well, look at the Maldives. Have you seen that?
The Maldives will be underwater.
You showed on.
Well, no, I believe it.
Yeah, it's crazy. But if you see the Google image of the Maldives and how it looks, it's crazy. It's like years away from basically.
Well, they're trying to purchase another set of islands to move the people there.
Yeah.
That's how serious it is.
What is it? 500,000 people or something like that?
I don't know the population.
Makes me happy that I sold a little parcel I once owned in Turks and Caicos. I know that it's only elevated like at like 50 meters at its highest peak. Like that probably won't exist.
You're probably okay with 50 meters. I don't think the oceans are going to rise in our lifetime more than 10 or 15 feet, which is a disaster anyway. That's a massive amount of.
The global warming statement you made, Trump obviously is sort of like one of these deniers of it and doesn't, thinks it's a bit of a hoax and everything. Right. Is this one of really like, you see a lot of celebrities get behind this issue, but is this one of the most singular type of issues what more of the public should really start to really truly understand and try and make a difference because we can help it, right?
It's the number one issue really because there are other issues like education and food delivery, people starving and unemployment and inequities in wealth and so on. But this is a leveler of everything. It's going to affect everybody and it'll affect the sources of food far beyond, pestilence and people hoarding things to drive prices up. This is a game changer for humanity. If it happens the way it's most scientists who believe, there's the deniers and the believers, and more believers and deniers. But if it happens the way most believers have prognosticated, it's going to be a disaster for us.
Do you what are simple things that we can that people can do?
Just stop driving cars, turn off your lights.
Yeah.
Just like the biggest issue is consuming power, right? Anything that creates carbon dioxide. So, funny. There's a guy that used to be a big petrochemical CEO. His name's Gwyn Morgan. He used to run Encana. I think it was Encana. And he retired several years ago. Now he writes in the Globe, and the guy's brilliant. He's a very well-spoken, well-educated man. And he's always talking about the lunacy of the side that believes that electric cars are the answer. Because electric cars can be the answer, but it depends on how you charge your car. If you charge your car in an area in the world where electricity is generated by burning coal, then it's worse to drive an electric car than a gas car because you're consuming coal, and coal is the single worst thing for CO2 emissions. So the problem with
Brad, a little closer, Mike. Sorry. Thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
The problem with consumers is that they're not well informed, and I don't think they understand all the science behind it, and that's something that and unfortunately, because most politicians in the world don't want us to be that informed about this because it's not good.
Speaking of politicians, yesterday afternoon, City Mayor John Tory announced he's going to be cracking down on developers and their requests and demands to block lanes during construction and the process of it. Will his new regulations affect you on any of the projects that you do, and what do these new regulations really mean?
Okay, well, this is actually kind of a hot topic for me because he went on CP24, and I was a scapegoat for that. They actually closed my project down.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And so actually, we were expecting our lane closure permit. The only way to build a building in the city of Toronto that's mid-block and is zero setback, meaning that the building takes the entire parcel, right? Which a lot of buildings in Toronto do, is you have to get a lane closure because there's no way to deliver products to the site. Like if you deliver rebar or concrete, the truck can't hover over the site and deliver concrete.
I've seen it my whole life in downtown, never thought twice about it. It's the truth, just because I watched stuff being built. And,
well, if we had some helicopters, we could maybe change that. But that's just, you can't fly helicopters in the city of Toronto either. So it's just impossible to do it any other way. And, this is a traffic mayor, and he's, of the opinion that developers are sort of willy-nilly closing streets without thought, right? So we're expecting our permit on Thursday, and we're well advanced to have it without shutting down the site. City's well aware of our need. We've been at it for a year and a half to get this permit. We were promised it on 3 different occasions. Finally, it was granted by council. It was granted by community council a month ago, and it was granted in council, and then the mayor held it, which means that it wasn't granted. He held it to the next meeting. So we've now, in the meantime, on Friday when I found out about this, I called the mayor's office, and I said, listen, we're going to have to fire everybody and close the site. I mean, we've already put up the Jersey barriers and the signs going up. And they said, well, okay, if that's happening, don't stop. We'll let you know what to do. Then Tuesday morning, the city shows up and says, rip down your hoarding, remove the Jersey barriers. You can't do this. You don't have a permit, which is completely counter to what I was told on Friday, which was relax, don't do anything yet until we tell you. So the mixed message, no real communication between the councillor's office, our office, the city's office, and our office in terms of a clear flow of information. And then the mayor goes on television and shows my crane, and I'm the bad guy for closing traffic. And then the other thing I find interesting is that, and by the way, we had been assured of this all the way through by, not the mayor's office, but the people that grant these within the works departments and so on. It was never an issue, right? Never one issue. And we also had been promised an earlier date for council, and they kept postponing putting us on the council highlights to be heard that day, right? And then it came to the exhibition. Other things we got bounced to another council meeting. But interestingly enough, what was said by the mayor and his crew is that we need to do it the way New York City does it, which is they don't do this in New York City. That they make the developers find a different way to do it, which is complete hogwash. So we went on the internet and we found, hundreds of examples of how they do it in New York City, and they shut down lanes left, right, and center. In fact, we actually have a sketch of the city of New York currently with lane shutdowns because of development, and it looks like varicose veins on a leg. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's the only way you can do it. There's no science way to do it otherwise, And anyway, I think that it's unfortunate because of the lack of communication that's taken place between us and the city. And this is one of the problems with, I've told you about all this stuff that we do with the city, the struggle we have. What I was told by the mayor's office is that the works department, or the people responsible for issuing these permits, said that we wouldn't be held up if it was held for a month. And that's why they did it. But they didn't check because we were actually building the Jersey barriers to protect the people walking by on that day. So it actually is now, the site's closed. It's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And people can't be employed because you would have started this project now. So what are the next steps now?
Who knows? So we had to basically remove all of the form workers, all the steel workers. There's an excavation piece of equipment still there. That's one guy digging holes, waiting for something to happen. And I've got all my laborers and all my management staff we're paying there, but everyone else is gone off to other jobs. The crane and sitting idle costs us $25,000 a month for that crane to sit there. And this is all just a silly waste of time and money because nobody communicated about the reality of not being able to do this.
I'm getting so angry for you.
And what I find frustrating is that there's not a lot of outlets for you. There's not a lot of places to call to get relief from this, and you have to escalate it, and it becomes nasty, and there's no reason for it.
Me as the layman in all this, Brad J. Lamb, by the way, TorontoCondos.com. And if you want anything like sold or purchased, just go there. They got great realtors and all that stuff, and look for his new developments, blah, blah, blah. It's amazing. TorontoCondos.com. For me as a layman, the way I see it also, with increasing house prices happening every month and condo prices going up every month, that the more you have a delay, the more that you're delayed in making great affordable homes for people still because of this time that at least we can get in there now. If this delays you next year, it's only going to help. I mean, prices are only going to go up, so it's going to hurt people buying them. That's what I would think also.
Do you know what happened today?
Tell me.
I raised prices $200,000 today.
Because you have to make up for those costs.
Yep, that's what it's going to cost at a minimum. At a minimum.
Listen. That's first
and,
thing.
And that means the next, we've got 50 or 40 units left. The next 40 people are paying, an extra $5,000 when they didn't have to.
Yep.
Like, this stuff isn't absorbed by the project. It can't be, right? It gets absorbed by the consumers who buy the product. And it's when we're talking about trying to find a way of finding affordable housing in the city, we go ahead and do stuff like this without any consultation to the stakeholder, which is me. That building is $100 million being dropped into the city. We do that every 6 months here. $200 million to $300 million a year dropped into the city. All the jobs, all the money, all the taxes, everything. Provincial, HST. No consultation, no phone call, no asking us, hey, is there any other way to do this? Nothing.
They always go after the developer, don't they?
I don't think they always do. But in this particular case, it's probably a misunderstanding. But what I would appreciate is a clear path of dialogue that we can see our way through this. And unfortunately, we're now being promised some form of consultation at some point in the future, but it's costing jobs and money.
Wow.
Every day is probably $25,000 of money just pissed in the wind for this. And this is the thing. There is no other way
to build.
No way to build it other than the way we're doing it. If we had magic, I wish I was magic, I would hover concrete trucks over the site and pour from the sky,
I feel like if anyone's ever going to do that, it might be you one day. Like, who could lift some concrete trucks. What's going on with this 15% tax that they're considering bringing to Ontario that they're doing for foreign investment in BC?
I'm sure everyone's tired of that, but I don't think it's coming in Toronto. I think a lot of the things that have happened with housing the last 2 weeks has just been completely asinine. I don't fully understand the idea behind it, but possibly there's a bigger plan at work that I'm not aware of. But the 15% tax would be a colossal mistake. It would be a depression-causing move in Canada. The Ontario economy would cavitate and collapse, and the ripple effects would be across the country. It'd be a disaster, and no one's going to do that. I don't think anyone here is going to do that. The economy of BC is different, but I don't think anyone's going to do that here.
There's all these new mortgage rules, and actually I got to find an email because someone had a question for you that I want to ask you. The new mortgage rules are coming into effect this Monday. Can you explain them again for people? Because from what I understand, is that you used to be able to be qualified for a mortgage at whatever the interest rate is now, like 2.25 or 2.5 or something percent. Yes. And now they're qualifying first-time homeowners to add that they would have to afford like a 4.5% interest rate, something like that, for a $400,000 plus mortgage or something. Right. Am I kind of getting the numbers sort of right?
Yeah. So there's a word called stress test, which I fucking hate that word.
Okay.
Such a bullshit word.
My wife gives me that all the time.
Yeah, it's probably real in that case, but no, bankers like to have these catchy words for stuff. So here's the stress test. So right now, if you can afford to buy a home at current interest rates at 2.3% or whatever they are, they want to see that if rates go up, you'll be able to handle the extra cost. So they're doing a stress test at 4.64%, which is the now posted bank rate. So that extra 2.3%, they want to see if you can afford it. And if you can't, then you can't borrow the money you want. So what it's doing effectively is it's saying, let's say you can actually afford in today's rate environment to buy a $300,000 or have a $300,000 mortgage. We're not going to let you have that mortgage. We're not going to qualify you. You can have $250 because you qualify for the stress test at $250. So what it's doing is it's taking hundreds of thousands of first-time buyers over the next several years out of the marketplace, and it will transport them into the future at some point when the dream is they'll be able to buy something lots of people will be taken out of the system forever because you'll be forever behind the 8 ball. You never have enough money to get what you need.
And I'm not just taking your side because you're Brad J. Lamb and you're here and we work with you and stuff, but I remember how much of a struggle it was for me to get my first place. But I also remember knowing that I did not want to blow fucking money away by renting and just throwing. And all I see out of this now, and again, from a layman's perspective, Brad, is that it's going to help other people still afford to buy these, but put other people in renting situations the rest of their life. Yes. And then they're never going to get equity within their homes because that's really how I've made probably 75% of my income in this world.
Yes, but here's the but. And this is, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with this as a move. I don't have enough information. The finance minister may have a bit more. But here's the thing. The concern is that over the next 0 to 5 years, interest rates may go up 2%.
Okay.
And if you have a mortgage now and you can afford it and rates go up 2%, can you afford it then? And if you can't afford it, what's that going to do to the economy and the real estate economy, which is the most important economy to a consumer? It's their bulk of their money. So what they're trying to do is protect the economy and protect people from themselves, really. So the question I have, though, is are people not adults and can't they do that themselves? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the right answer is. I would prefer, though, if I was the Minister of Finance, or is that what he's called? The Minister of Finance?
Yeah.
Bill Morneau? I think that's his title. What I would do is I would have done something, but I would not done it to that extent. I probably would have gone halfway and said, let's add let's take the bank rate and minus 1% and do a middle ground thing, which would be...
They're almost going worst case scenario.
They're going Armageddon. 2 points in 3 or 4 years is a big change in the world's interest rates. I don't think that's going to happen.
Huh. I don't know. Sounds like, who knows, they might be protecting their own interests, but it's like it's just I feel bad for people. You can't get it. They're making it harder to get into homes.
The other thing is they're making it harder for small financial institutions to stay competitive. So they've more or less forced all of the non-banks. I mean, if you look at all the stocks of the non-bank lenders, they've all dropped 20% in the last 5 or 6 days. Huge stress because they're going to lose a huge amount of lending.
I never even thought about that. Here's a quick question from, his name is Rick. I won't use his last name because I don't know. Here's a question for Brad. My credit score has been murdered. I've gone through 2 divorces, a car repo, student loans, several credit cards delinquent and closed and sent to collections. I desperately want out of my parents' home, yet I'm paycheck to paycheck and can't seem to catch up. Where do I even begin to repair my credit? And then he just started talking about there's a builder in Florida that offers, I guess he's considering moving, that offers some rebates to move into new homes. Should he take advantage of something like that? He's worried. When should I abandon all that type of offer? I don't even really know what that part means.
Okay, well, moving to Florida doesn't seem like an option because you need to be an American to get a job down there, so doesn't make any sense. But what I would say is what he should do is King West Financial is my mortgage company, and if he calls King West Financial, and the number, should I say the number?
Yeah, give it. Yeah, for sure.
It's 416-368-5262 or 368 Lamb, and he asks for somebody named Dwayne. Dwayne will take him through step by step how to fix his credit. We can fix his credit in a year.
Okay.
Not perfectly, but enough to get a mortgage.
Good to know. I'm getting a lot of great feedback on this segment, and I know we work on Canada Laughs, but this is the stuff they don't teach you in schools. This is the stuff that you need to learn, and you're our very own dragon, Brad J. Lamb, and I'm just excited for the Blue Jays to beat that team that we can't pronounce. Or say it'll be fun. We got to have a beer and watch. You gonna watch all the games?
I was gonna go to Cleveland to watch it, but I have my daughter this weekend. So
be honest. We're gonna fly private. We're just gonna push right over there.
I don't fly private.
You don't fly private?
No, I'm too cheap to do that.
Are you? Okay.
I do fly business class, but I won't fly private.
All right.
Not
is
yet.
Is that like a crazy amount? I've done it a couple times from some bigwigs who brought me, but
it is. Yeah. So to give you an idea, to go to New York and back in Citation, let's say. Is going to be like $25,000, $30,000
just to do a quick turnover.
Yeah,
really?
Yep. It's very, very, very expensive. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So if you take 5 or 6 people, then it's still crazy. It's maybe $5,000 a person, but it's still a lot when you can go for $600 in porter.
One of my buddies who's flown me twice must be super rich.
Okay. He probably is.
I didn't realize how rich he was. Yeah. Wow. He does it all the time. Anyway, Brad J. Lamb, thank you. Go to torontocondos.com for all your information and anything you need when it comes to your real estate needs.
The Todd Shapiro Show. Turn up your speakers, especially if you're over 65. SiriusXM 168, Canada Laughs.